Restarted. We did it.
No. So welcome apparently to the CrossFit Canada podcast. So for those who are just tuning into this episode where we tell the stories of Canadian affiliate owners and coaches, what happened was we were about 25 minutes into a lovely conversation with our guest today, Cristina Anderson. And I paused the recording with some technical difficulties, and when I went to restart it, we lost everything. Potentially. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it might be there. It might not be. So we're gonna wing this and see what happens, and maybe we'll just like a well executed CrossFit class. You have to be the duck that is floating along calmly at the top, but underneath the feet are going crazy, and we'll just see what happens from there. So you are going to actually, here's what we're going to do. So we start off every one of these with introducing yourself, where you're the affiliate that you're part of, and question of the day. In our first iteration, your question was your new favorite CrossFit workout, a new favorite, not your old favorite. Yes. And we had to come back to it. So maybe this is just fate, like doing its thing. So introduce yourself and where you are and your new favorite CrossFit workout.
Yes. So I am Cristina Anderson. And I currently live in a little town near Boston, Millis, Massachusetts, and work at Resilience Medfield, which is a CrossFit gym in a little town called Medfield, Massachusetts. I have been doing CrossFit on and off since 2012. And we had a little debate about my favorite CrossFit workout, which my favorite CrossFit workout of all time is DT. Yes. And I'm supposed to pick a new one. And I think actually, I'm just going to think back. So I recently started programming at my affiliate, and I programmed a workout the other day that I loved it. It was so good. It was an interval piece, every 4 minutes for 6 rounds. You did a 2016 calorie assault bike into 10 alternating dumbbell snatch with the heavy dumbbell, so 70, 50, into 10 chest to bar pull-ups. And for me, that's just a regular old kipping pull-up. But I just loved the intensity of the bike into the really heavy dumbbell, which got your lats really tired, which made the pull-ups really hard. And then there was only like a minute-ish to recover, and then you had to do it again. And it just was, I just loved it. I just thought it was so good. I don't know if the athletes at my affiliate feel that way, but I thought it was good.
So 24 minutes of just like pure pulling domination. Okay.
Pull. Sometimes you gotta do the sometimes you gotta do the compounding movements. I'm just saying.
That's right. It can't be or the redundancy there. Yeah, you can't always have the beautiful push-pull every single time. Yes. So you mentioned we're taking this in a totally different direction now, because you mentioned, and then we'll try to backtrack and backfill and maybe have you on again for part 2 to get a little bit more, rather than have you try to repeat everything that we just went through. But so you just said you just recently started programming at your affiliate, which is a new scary challenge for you, which is just maybe a way to sum up your CrossFit coaching career in three words. So what was the inspiration or the push to start programming, and kind of what was the initial thoughts that you went through with that?
So I think, at our affiliate, we have tried a bunch of different third-party programming resources out there, and there are so many out there. And something that I've just come to find is that there's not one of them that's going to be perfect, because they don't know your athletes. They're just programming for like the general public. And so I started to get really good at tweaking a little bit. And so like just taking things and just making sure that it really fits the needs of our affiliate, both from a like what they want and what they think they need, but also adding in those sprinkles of what they really do need, kind of like sugar with their medicine, right? Like give them a little of what they want with a little of what they
pill and cheese.
Yes, and people are happy, right? And I've learned a lot about programming through doing that, but I came to realize that it was taking me so much more time to take somebody else's work and make it work for us rather than just doing the thing myself. And I think this has always been something I've been terrified to jump into with my own insecurities, right? It's like, look at me, I'm not that fit. How can I program for people and make sure that they're fit? But I actually have come to feel that I'm actually pretty good at it. And it just took diving in. And I've absolutely made mistakes, but I just laugh along with my affiliate members as we unfold those mistakes, and we're all just getting fitter, and it's really fun. So,
what would you classify as a mistake in programming? Like in your application, not like broad sweeping, like, hey, we're trying to analyze people's programming, but you just said it. So how would you define it in your sense there?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the biggest quote unquote mistakes I've made is misjudging a stimulus. Usually it's I set a stimulus that is way too difficult, and it turns out that nobody is actually able to achieve that, which is like, could just mean like we needed to scale. But there are often times where you misjudge the amount of fatigue that's going to set in and how much it's going to slow somebody down. For example, in those repetitive movement workouts where you are, testing your stamina a little bit more so than the intensity. It's just kind of, a little bit of a play around there, and making sure that you're communicating that to members of like, hey, just kidding. I don't actually expect you to get 7 rounds of this. It might actually be 5. And just making sure that everybody has like a fair assessment of where they want to be so they can scale appropriately and set those goals. And then I think another mistake could be potentially watching volume. There's definitely been a couple of times where I'm like, this turned into a few too many deadlifts, and it's just kind of like people are a little sore. But then you kind of like gauge, maybe it's you underestimated what people could do. And then they end up doing like a few too many rounds, more than you originally planned. And then we're getting into like a little bit of too high volume. But again, in that case, it's like, hey, you observe, you adjust, and you're getting to know your people and what they're capable of, and what they're able to do.
So have you been able to see like people progress over the journey, like their fitness improve over this journey? And how does that make sure you don't kind of get, because you plan for the best, scale for the rest, so not let that influence your decisions on how you come up with WODs or how you schedule them and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, yes. First of all, yes, I see people getting so much fitter, and it's amazing. And that absolutely is how we want to program. We want to take those best athletes and kind of think about what they can do, and then the rest are going to scale to fit within that within that domain or within the stimulus that you've set. But at the same time, I think that there's also, we talk so much in in the seminars about when you're programming for CrossFit, the benefit of being faced with something that you can't do. So even every once in a while putting out that RX workout that even our fittest athletes are like, what? Like, who could do that? And forcing scaling and forcing, the understanding of how to, that's what makes us want to get better, right? Like, so even those top athletes, they know that nobody here has arrived. There's actually not anybody in the fitness space that's arrived. There's always something to get better at. So just keeping in mind that we do need to put those workouts out there that are a little bit far-fetched, a little bit outside of people's grasp, because that's what drives the needle forward. You know, and so that on top of making sure that the scaling options, which I also believe is a part of the programming and is on the programmer to kind of express where they want it to go, but those scaling options need to be that which will move the needle forward on getting people a little bit fitter.
So scaling for progress rather than participation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this isn't a episode to discuss programming, but it's a good way to get ourselves back into the flow of from the inherent technical difficulties. But really, I think like even just your journey of programming is a good analogy of like your coaching, your own coaching development of that. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start, and you need to embrace that there will be stumbles along the way.
Yeah.
And so what we were talking about is how, so like if we gave a timeline, let's just give me a little time snapshot of the year you got your level 1, your level 2, your level 3, and your level 4. Let's go over that in years, and then let's try to we'll backtrack as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So broad timeline, 2020, I got my level 1 in March. I then decided to move in order to surround myself with the best coaches that I knew, so that I could become a coach and really do this thing right. Then got my level 2 in August of 2020. So that was 6 months later. My level 3, and that was always like, I guess I just knew, like, to put it very simply, I just wanted to be the best. So if I want to be the best, then I knew I had to get the level 3 and the level 4. Like, it just, that's how it made sense to me. So the level 3, I pursued that the second that I had my 750 hours. So I was just accumulating coaching hours as much as I could. As soon as I hit that 750, I took my level 3 in March of 2020. No, 2021. Yes, that's correct. 2021. So that was a year later. And then I got my level 4 in March of 2023 when that became available. So it was just like, as soon as like the door opened for the next thing that I could do, I went and did it, simply because that's what I thought the logical step was for me to become one of the best, which is, you know, which is just what I've always wanted.
Was it that, or was it like, I mean, yes, it was that. Like, we're gonna, if there's a level, we should be trying to pursue the next level because we want to try to be the best we can to serve the people in front of us. But upon reflection, how much was it like, well, I better just book it before I talk myself out of it?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a little bit of that for sure. Like, I mean, it was definitely like, level 4 is open, I signed up. Like, there was no time for me to think about it and reflect and have second thoughts. But I think that in this constant pursuit of quote unquote being the best, which is how I just very simply put it, I have learned that it really had nothing to do with that the whole way. And I think that my deeply rooted self-doubt about my body type and my body image and my own fitness, I felt that I could make up for that by being the best coach in the world. And so I wanted to get so good at coaching that nobody would say something mean about my body ever again, that nobody would question my fitness ever again. And then I realized throughout the journey here that there is not a single credential that can heal the things that I need to heal on my own, within my own head, if that makes sense. So, definitely like a big, there's definitely like a big journey in there. But my chasing after credentials, as much as I say it's about how I wanted to be the best, and I want to be better for my athletes, of course. Like, I want to be able to give them the best product that I can. Definitely though was rooted in trying to cover up these insecurities that I have, for sure.
Yeah, and because what you had mentioned, which I think is really important to get back to, was like when you started doing CrossFit in 2012, you had your every intention to get your level 1.
Yep.
But you didn't get it until 2020. So there was that 8-year gap, because you shared this earlier, was you felt you needed to be a certain weight. Once I achieved this weight, this will validate me or give me the pass that I deserve to get the level 1. And how did you learn that that wasn't true?
At the level 1. It was at the level 1. So like, yes, that's exactly right. I just believed you had to be a certain body type to take the level 1. It's a really common belief. I get messages all the time on Instagram of people asking me, could I take my level 1 even though I don't do X, even though I'm a scaled athlete, even though I weigh X? And it's just, these are self-limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves. And yeah, like as a coach, I realize that the things that I say and the things that I do could potentially put these little messages in people's head. We don't realize how we're perceived. And so when I decided like to get my level 1, I think there was a piece of me that knew, like, you know what, maybe me being a coach could really, really help somebody, because I get it. Like, I get those thoughts. I understand the self-doubt that people have. I understand the self-limiting beliefs. But then when I like went to my level 1, and it truly taught me that I had a completely skewed vision of what fitness is, like just seeing CrossFit's methodology come to life and understanding our definition of fitness and how we measure somebody's fitness and somebody's health. It was like a completely life-changing, and just shifted everything away from my body looks like X, I weigh X, I can't do X. Fitness is what we can do. It's our work capacity. And yes, your physical body will change in composition as a result of getting fitter. But that's not part of the definition. It's just the byproduct of what happens, but it's not part of the definition. And that just really like, it just fired me up, and I just was go, go, go ever since then.
And I think it's worth noting, like, it's also not like an escape or like an excuse not to, but it's just saying like the ad hoc fallacy of this before that, therefore this causes that, is like,
Right.
oh, if I lose weight, therefore I'm fitter. So I'm fitter, I must be losing weight. But in actuality, the definition of an increased work capacity across broad time modal domains, measurable by our average power output, we could say, I will achieve fitness first, and then the rest of the goals will backfill from there. And so you then were fired up, but then you had to start doing the work. And so where did that take you? Both in your fitness and your coaching. Yeah. Let's stay both on the fitness and then the coaching side of things too.
Yeah, I think so I think for my fitness, very much learning about the power of intensity, learning how to properly scale my workouts so that I could elicit that intensity and start to really see results. That is what got the ball rolling at first. But then eventually, as we all know, it is all about the nutrition. That is what really moves the needle forward, on a fitness journey. And I think so for me, really struggled in the past with eating disorders and of all kinds, and just a lot of disordered thoughts about eating in my body. And so it was definitely something that I had to tread very lightly with. But I started with protein goal. And so, you know, with this idea of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which I know you guys use kilograms. So I'm not sure
we
how that.
technically Canada's a weird metric country. We will use like kilometers per hour, but everyone weighs themselves in pounds up here.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, we lift weight in pounds. So anyway, so you your protein target of 1 gram per, which ironically enough, gram is a metric, but anyway.
I know. Things are weird down here. I know.
But anyway, yeah, the target of 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Per pound. For me, it was per pound of like kind of a goal body weight that I wanted to get. And so I found that once I focused on just that, suddenly when you're fueling your body with actual real protein sources, a lot of that other stuff that tends to appeal to us, you just eat less and less of that, you know? So there was a lot less of the snacking, a lot less of looking for that quick, easy carb, you know, that we kind of gravitate to when we're not eating enough, you know? And so for me, starting with the protein was fantastic. And then I was able to snowball that into choosing better carb sources and better fat sources, and just realizing that the more real, actual, true food that I can put into my body, the more results that I see. And it's just been a real snowball effect of one little change at a time, getting me to where I want to be.
And then so along the way, so you said like, okay, I'm going to work on my nutrition. And then you're pursuing your fitness, and then you start pursuing your coaching. Where did patience have to settle in? And was there like a moment where it was like, okay, girl, slow down. This is not sustainable?
Yeah, I think like, yeah, I know. so much patience needs to happen. I think, you know, in the earlier recording, we went into like more details of kind of the history of my life and my coaching, but to boil it down, I, you know, kind of dropped everything in my life, moved to Boston in order to pursue coaching. And I was on this like mission to make it a full-time job. And it was kind of an obsession. Like I was going through a divorce. I have 2 young kids. And it was like, I have to make this work. I have to make this my profession. Like, I need to make enough money that I can support my daughters and think about things like college in the future. And so I was on this like headlong pursuit into every single detail that I could possibly learn about coaching, about CrossFit, about all the intricate details of a snatch, of a clean and jerk. I was just trying so hard to make it happen so fast. And I think that there was a lot of things kind of along the way that caused me to have to take pause and realize it's about coming back to the basics and mastering them. You know, like we spoke about the level 2, like the level 2 takes you back to the basics and really teaches you how to very simply you know, execute this methodology in a class setting. And then, you know, my experience with taking the coach development program with Denise Thomas, where she had to have a really long sit down with me about athlete safety, and that it doesn't matter if somebody is hitting triple extension or not if they can't receive the bar in a sound and safe position. And so like really opening my eyes to, hey, it's not about how much you know, and it's not about all the intricate details. Sometimes it's about getting the athletes from A to B and making them feel good and making sure that they're safe and that they're having fun, and the little details can kind of come as they come. But you know, it really is it's a very simple but not easy thing to kind of wrap your mind around, because you want to be the best for your people, and you want to support them, but it really is it's really about those basics.
Well, and it's like like what you were saying about programming, like how effective programming, you have to balance between what they want and what they need. But more often, as an effective coach, we need to give people what they need.
Yeah.
And then, so even in the delivery, like, I know you want to try to PR this today or go for it, but what you need to show me is X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, hey, you may dislike the answer now, but if you work on X, Y, and Z, it will help you long term down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Yesterday, I programmed a workout with a dumbbell run. So, like, we were using the dumbbells for some lunges in the gym. And then I was like, all right, take one dumbbell and go out on the run. And my runners were in uproar because they're like, I can run 400 meters in like 120. What is going on? Why is this so hard to do? And I just kind of was all day. I was like, hey guys, like, have you ever had to run through the airport with some luggage in your hand? Like, this is the real deal. Like, this is us testing our fitness in a different way that, yes, it's going to slow you down. It's going to make you feel like something's wrong. Like, why can't I run faster? But like, you don't realize all of the benefits of doing something like this that's like just a little outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah. So speaking about comfort zone, is I want to talk about feedback, because I'm wondering about like the secret. I don't want to, because I feel like even saying this like diminishes the work you've put in, but like the secret to your success has also been that you've taken the action and the being proactive to surround yourself with some people who are genuinely going to help you achieve your goal and get better. Along the way, as you already mentioned with Denise, you've had to receive probably some pretty hard feedback as you've gone through. But the feedback is always given and should be received as like, this is going to help everyone get better. Mm-hmm. So at some point, and I know what you've gone through because you at some point coached for my now current mentor, Mr. Joe Maisley.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm going to guess that you were probably getting consistent feedback when you were coaching with him. And like I said, how hard was it to receive at the time? But upon reflecting on it, how helpful was it for you?
I think it's funny. Like, I always have told the people around me, that, and, we've kind of made mention to the fact, like, I surrounded myself purposefully with the best coaches that I could possibly find, because that's what I wanted. I wanted feedback. I wanted to get better. And there was many times where, like, I would be given feedback and then I would implement that feedback, but then there would be another thing that I was getting feedback on. And I would sit there and I'd be like, geez, like, seriously? Like, oh my God, I just did this. And like, you didn't even say good job. You just gave me more feedback. And there are times where you have to like sit down, you have to realize, like, you telling me that I did a good job is not helping me get better. Like, it's just not. And so I think you have to shift the mindset on what feedback is. If you're truly seeking out feedback, you're not seeking out positive feedback. That doesn't, yeah, it makes you feel good. It definitely makes you feel good. But if I truly want feedback in order to get better, I want you to tell me all the things that I can do to get better. And I remember, and like, definitely have had these conversations with Joe where he'd be like, hey, the only reason why I'm layering this on thick is because you said that you wanted it, and this is the journey that you want. And so I signed up for it. And I am lucky enough to say that I have had mentors in my corner who listened to me and they were like, hey, I know that this is what you want, so I'm going to keep pushing you and I'm going to keep pushing you harder. And that was okay, but this could be better and this could be better. And just continuing to, and you then kind of become kind of desensitized to the fact that feedback is simply somebody caring about you and wanting you to be better. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It just, yeah, I think I've just like maybe just shifted my perspective on what it means, or I don't know, like to this day, I don't really want people to like just tell me how great everything is. Like I want to know if something is wrong or if something can be better. I want you to tell me so that I can be aware of it and I can make a change or work on it.
Well, and I want to get into like your internship process as well, because I know there's a lot of feedback involved with that. But feedback is a dual responsibility between the coach receiving the feedback and the coach giving the feedback. And in this case, the coach could also be an owner. Not every affiliate owner is set up for success to deliver feedback. And I've spoken with some coaches who have said like, they've had some pretty traumatic experiences in a coach evaluation setting. And that's not fair. And it's unfortunate that it's ours, but in my own weekly meetings with Joe, the hardest feedback to hear is the stuff that is just blatantly true. And right. And it's like, and so we do video reviews and he's like, is you walked by this person who was missing depth in their thruster, but you told them to press up into the bar more. Right. And it's true. It's like I'm missing range of motion and I'm cueing something else. And then it usually gets into a piece of like, we work backwards. It's like, well, everyone was missing range of motion because you didn't teach range of motion at the beginning. And you're like, damn, this is a little sour tasting because it's true.
Yeah.
And that's how we can work on getting better, as opposed to just sitting there being like, you coach really good. I really like the way you talked about activating the lats before you did your first pull in the snatch before the triple extension. Like that's not the feedback we should be seeking. And it's definitely not the feedback that's going to make anyone better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you got the opportunity to intern on staff. How did that come about, and what was your first internship like? Because there is the hope that I don't think that people, I mean, I don't know, but not as many folks seem to say that they're inspired to be on staff as much as we all used to, and we need to make red shirts cool again. As I commented on a post on Instagram. But so yeah, you received an opportunity to intern. What was that like? And then what was that first weekend like?
Yeah. So the goal for me always was seminar staff. It was getting that red shirt. Like you said, like, I mean, that was the end all be all. Since the moment I was sitting in my level 1, when I was like, I had that life-changing moment that I talked about, and I like was like, I'm going to wear that red shirt. Like I just knew it. And so head down pursuing each different credential, because I'm like, I mean, this is the only clear pathway that I can find. As soon as I passed my level 3, I did apply to get on CrossFit seminar staff, because that is the minimum requirement. And so, that application process is, it's pretty extensive. You have to write a couple of essays, if I remember correctly. And I just really had to like dig deep into like why I want to do this, and what would it mean to me to be a seminar staff trainer. And it was just so important to me, that I just like really poured myself into that application, and I felt so good about it. And then I was met with, we're not hiring,
Yeah.
And it was just like, we just don't, anybody who's kind of looked into it would know that it's very regional. So like, seminar staff is broken up into different regions throughout the world. And if there's a lot of staff trainers in your area, they just won't need you. It's just the way that it kind of works. And so that's what I was met with for a while. And I would kind of like every like 3 or 4 months or so, I would like send another email and be like, hey, like just wanted you to know I'm still interested. And they would be like, hey, like, thank you, but still we don't need anybody. But I just really tried to make it very apparent, like, I really want this. But in the meantime, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to pursue the level 4. They had announced that was coming out in January of 2023. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just take the level 4. And as soon as that became available, I signed up right away, which in hindsight, I'm very glad I did because I know it filled up very quickly.
Sure.
A lot of people were taking it. But I signed up for that. And I remember like, it's so funny. I know that you have taken the evaluation as well. And I remember like going in and, the level 1 and the level 2 are so fun. And like, they're just so like exciting. And like, you're meeting the coaches. And I remember I walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was going to get to meet Chuck Carswell. He was like my coach superhero at the time. And I was like so excited, but it's like a very serious environment because it's like a formal evaluation. And I remember just being like, oh, like this is a little bit different. But like going in and just like taking hands and, having to go in and do my thing. I remember thinking like, oh gosh, like this is really,
It's happening.
happening. And this is truly the culmination of everything that I've been doing, like on display. And like, am I going to cut it or not? And then as soon as I found out that I was lucky enough that I had passed, I did then hear from seminar staff that they were gonna, invite me to the candidate program. And so I was like, wow, like it's like my dreams were all coming true. But again, it's a candidate program. Like there's nothing guaranteed here. So the very first weekend, I got to work with Matt Dubrack, so Canadian.
Yeah, there you go.
And so the very first weekend was very much like, I just remember trying to memorize the schedule. Like, okay, how does this seminar work? What happens when? And just like, just trying to be helpful. At that point, you're like, if Matt needs a pen, I better be there with a pen. Like that was my mentality. Like I just wanted to make sure that every little detail was taken care of so that like nobody who was working that seminar was left looking for anything. Like I was there with it. And so they, you slowly get kind of, filtered into teaching a little bit of the breakout groups. And that's where we teach the 9 foundational movements. So I really honed in on my skills on, coaching each progression of the 9 foundational movements. Each time that you do a candidate weekend, they add a little bit more to your plate. But I remember that I had a friend who was in the candidate program who made it in after 3 seminars. And so I got it in my head that you would make it in after 3 seminars. And in my 3rd seminar, I did not make it onto staff. And I was gutted. I was really upset. I really felt like I had failed and that, that I wasn't gonna make it. But Denise was the flow master in that one. And I just remember that, she said to me like, hey, like, if you want this is what you have to work on. And I did that. I worked on the things that she wanted me to work on, which was mostly my ability to cross circle cue. So, standing in the circle, being able to give a cue to the person right next to me, but also give a cue to the person across from me, making sure that the entire circle is really engaged throughout. And I was like, I got circles together in my affiliate. I was like, all right, who can stay after class and just get in a circle for me and air squat? And I just need to practice doing this thing. And I just like did it as much as I could until I finally got that you're in. So yeah, it just was like a lot of just like feedback.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is like, exactly like, here's what you need to work on to get better or to get in on this thing.
Yep.
And if you make it like just like a cue, specific and actionable, then this is what, and objective too, I think is the other piece is like, it has to be measurable. Like, hey, you made 0 cross circle cues in your delivery, and in a class setting that may not be required, but in the level 1 breakouts, that is the experience that you guys are also delivering, because I'm guessing it's like saying, hey, I'm here, but my eyes are also over there.
Right. Yeah.
But I want to backtrack then to like thinking about the basics of like, as you said, like you had to work on cross circle cueing. And I think what happens is, and I was super guilty of this, was like, I don't want to plan for something specific that I'm going to see, because then I'll miss out on everything else.
Yeah.
But ironically enough, if you plan to see everything, that's when you'll see nothing. Yeah. So how did you improve your seeing and correcting, both in the affiliate, but then as you were working through the candidate process?
Honestly, the biggest thing for me is slowing down. Okay. I think that I watch some of my coaching heroes coach. Like when you watch Denise Thomas coach, she is just like Q, 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 you do this, do that, do that. And it feels fast, I think, for some reason for me, or at least when I'm like interpreting it as a coach. So I feel like I have to stand there and be like, you, this, you, that, you, press up,
yeah,
lower. And it's like, it's too fast. But when I take a breath and I think, okay, everybody set up. Hey, can you just make your feet a little bit wider for me? Hey, can you just bring your elbows up a little bit for me? Breathe. Everybody squat. Hey, you drive your knees out a little bit more for me. Hey, over here, push your knee out to my hand a little bit for me. Okay, great. Oh, hey, chest up. Everybody stand. Excellent, right? Just like slow it down and thinking in my head, static, dynamic, static, and just like making sure that I'm being present in each of those moments in the movement, where like I used to just think like I just have to say a lot of things and give a lot of cues really fast, to the point where people can't even hear what I'm saying because I'm going so fast. So I think there's just like an art to really just like slowing it down and truly being present in, what you're trying to deliver in that specific piece of the progression.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's like for me, it was always like, okay, like on the squat, like my first called reps, I think everyone can agree, like, hey, we're going to start calling reps. And that's the best way to see movement, so we could try to optimize it.
Mm-hmm.
So in my first step, I'm going to look for hips first, heels down, knees out, and chest up. Right. And then starting to go right. And like you laugh, but it's like, yeah, which one are you going to look for? And then you start to see, okay. And then that's where it's like, I've called 4 reps now and haven't made any corrections. So now the first person I correct, they're going to feel singled out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you get over that initially? Like, what was sort of I know you said like for now it's slowing down, but as you initially started kind of working through that, what was helpful for you?
I think having like, I think that there's like a next level of lesson planning that doesn't get talked about a lot, where like you have your lesson plan, right? And I think, most people in our industry understand that your lesson plan consists of your warm up, your workout, and your cool down. And your warm up is going to have a specific and a general piece. And, I think that, most people can kind of like trace that along a timeline. But then there's like another layer of lesson planning where like I would quite literally draw little X's out of like my classroom layout with like me in the front. And then let's say I have 3 rows of X's, and it would be like, okay, step 1 of the progression is deadlift to mid thigh. And I'm going to make sure that I touch on back left corner, back right corner, and middle. And then we're going to go deadlift shrug. And then I'm going to go back right corner, back left corner, middle. And then we're going to do the high pull, deadlift shrug high pull. And then I'm going to go front right corner, front left corner, and like always going to be different. So I'm constantly looking at a different part of the room first, but also ensures that every single person in the room gets some kind of a cue. And so like, and yeah, in the beginning, it literally would plan that and literally plan like how it's going to go down. And I think that that's just like a part that people miss is that kind of like next layer of your lesson planning, which, don't get me wrong, I don't do that anymore. I don't draw a diagram of my classroom and try to figure out who I'm going to cue when. But because I did that in the beginning, I'm now very good at bouncing my cues around, making sure that everybody gets the love.
Yeah, I always say, like, to new folks, if I'm teaching them like to squat, I'm like, you have to think about it until you don't have to think about it, till it just becomes the way you have to do it. But as you said, like, just like in our own fitness journeys, in our own coaching journeys, like, part of lesson planning is like, okay, yeah, let's just start by like hitting the timestamps, and next we can start moving on to what we're going to say, but then how we deliver it becomes the next piece. And it is down to like, this is where I'm going to have people line up, because this is where I need to see. Because what is the goal of coaching? I feel like sometimes it's like someone could still go through these things. It's like, yes, I lesson plan. Yes, I call reps. Yes, I make cues and corrections. But like, sometimes there's still something missing. And I think that's the like threshold training, as well as trying to make people better. And how would you represent that?
Yes. I mean, I tell people all the time that I think that when you're constantly seeking out feedback, it unintentionally becomes about you, the coach, doing the thing the correct way. And so, you know, you have years and years of seeking out feedback and being like, how was that? And having mentors telling you like, hey, no, say that this way, or hey, no, do this first and then that, or hey, that progression wasn't very effective. Let's talk about this. And so you're seeking feedback, and it starts to become about you, the coach, making sure that you're doing things correctly. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to implement the CrossFit methodology onto a group of people so that they get results and move the needle in the right direction. And so then you come to find out that all of these things that we teach in CrossFit, as far as how to utilize the 6 criteria of effective coaching, is simply so that we can easily convey that to the people. But the thing that we're conveying is maximizing your relative intensity within the hour, scaling so that you can maximize that relative intensity in the hour, and that you are training at your individual threshold, and that you are having a good time doing it. And that's it. So it really, coaching has absolutely nothing to do with us at all. It's all about how we can implement those things that we in the CrossFit world know to be true about intensity and threshold training, getting those results. How can we make sure that that happens for you? And I think that that comes once you reach like a certain maturity level as a coach, realizing like, it's not about what you can do. It's not about your fitness. It's not about how you look in a tight pair of shorts or shirtless. It is about how you are able to implement and execute that methodology within a group of people.
And correct me if I'm wrong, or love your take on this, but like, the other part is like, I feel like CrossFit is unparalleled in its efficacy, and we're all like all in, right?
Yes.
But the the issue could be that putting CrossFit in front of everyone to say like, hey, you're all gonna come do CrossFit, or like, hey, today you're doing Fran, and like, this is Fran, it's a CrossFit workout, and you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being the other way around, to be like, I'm gonna face out to the people and say like, hey, you're all here. This is amazing, awesome. I'm gonna take you all through this thing called CrossFit. Right? Do you see what I'm getting at in that kind of weird theory?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because it really is like that term relative intensity is super important, and I think that it's something that's misdefined a lot throughout, because Fran, for a very fit athlete who has been doing this CrossFit thing for a while, could be a 2-minute workout or even a sub 2-minute workout.
Yeah.
But if you're working with somebody in your affiliate, that is just not That's not a lifestyle they want to live. That's not a goal that they have. What does their maximum intensity Fran look like? And it quite literally could be a 7-minute Fran, and that might be okay because of their goals and their relative intensity and where they are at their life and their fitness. And so that's another huge layer, I think, of like just that like empathy piece and really understanding our people and creating that relationship with our people. And that is, I mean, that is the beauty of what we talked about. I think it was actually unfortunately in the first part of this recording, but when we talked about how like so many people are afraid to like try this fitness thing, or maybe they have self-limiting beliefs. And I talked about how when I went into my level 1, I was welcomed and it just made me feel so like safe and okay. That is exactly what happens in our affiliates, and it's on us as affiliate owners, as coaches, to, if somebody walks in with their own self-limiting beliefs and their stuff that they're carrying with them, we need to be able to hold our hand out and say, hi, welcome. What are your goals? What do you want from this? Because they might not want a 2-minute Fran, and that's okay, because they can still get really, really fit without being able to do Fran in 2 minutes. And so,
well, I'd sorry to cut you off. I would say they don't want a 2-minute Fran yet, right? And I feel like
maybe they do someday, yeah.
Yeah, but like, and that's the part of like really truly trying to like, it's like we all know the methodology, we know Fran, so we don't need to talk about that. Like, we need to find like the person, be like, okay, where are you at right now? Because if you say like, hey, today we're doing Fran, it's a 2 to 4 minute workout, it's got pull-ups and thrusters. Again, someone could just as easily be like, yeah, I don't need to do any of that. Why do I need to do this in 4 minutes? And then even if the delivery and the tone is off, it's like, oh, I did it in 7 minutes, therefore I failed.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, as Fran used to be one of the level 1 workouts, it's not anymore. But the day, if you think about your own journey that you did talk about in the recording of this, is like, you understood that my fitness is something that can be measured and it's something that can be improved. Yeah. So the importance of a 2-minute Fran is like the pinnacle, but the point of wherever someone is at with their score is just to say, hey, this number isn't as important as the next one that you do. And if you continue on this thing, and if you show up and like, hey, let's talk about fueling yourself better, guess what's going to happen? That new person who you are in 6 months, 8 months, a year from now is going to look back not only at this score and be amazed, but maybe look back at the person who got that score and be like, wow, like, I can't believe I didn't think like this or like that. And that magic hasn't changed in 20 years.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say to you that I am a living, breathing example of that, because I thought I wrote myself off from like being fit for a long time. Even as a coach, like I literally would say like, I'm just going to be a really, really, really good coach that nobody will care that I'm not that fit. And I would kind of downplay my fitness. And like, even saying this right now, I downplay my fitness. Like, you put a barbell in my hand and I can definitely throw down with the best of them. It's just, there are holes in my fitness that are massive, but I have made such progress in the past year, where like I have started doing pull-ups, which was like such a point of like just like pain point for me as an athlete. I never had pull-ups ever, even when I was like really quote unquote fit back in 2012. When I first started CrossFit, I was very thin and I was really fit in that kind of setting, like I was the strongest in the gym and I could do a lot of really good things, but like never could do a strict pull-up. I did some weird kipping ones, but I never could do a strict pull-up. And I just recently, in the past, in March, I got my first strict pull-up, and now I'm doing pull-ups, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do Fran RX. I never thought that would be a goal. Like, I literally had told myself in the past, like, I don't need to do Fran RX. Like, this doesn't matter. I don't need to. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, not only that, but I want to get a chest to bar. I want to get muscle ups. And I quite literally thought that I would never want to do those things. I just thought it like wasn't for me. But now, like I got a taste. I scaled my workouts in a way that moved the needle ever so slightly. And then I started to get a taste of what it's like to get your chin over the bar. And now I'm like, wow, what else am I capable of? And I truly believe that CrossFit does that for everyone. And it may be in a different setting. For you, it might be just doing a burpee, getting down and up. And that might be the pinnacle of your fitness. Maybe you're starting CrossFit at 82 years old, which I see that stories about that, and I love it. And I think it's amazing. And if that's you, then you're going to find that one little thing like, I never thought I could do a burpee. Oh my God, I did a burpee. Now I want to do a push up, like an actual strict toes on the ground push up. Everybody is going to find some kind of thing that's going to push them a little bit better in the CrossFit, just like somehow, some way. And I think we all can kind of latch on to that and just want to get better. Like it just, it's so good.
Well, but it's rooted in like, exactly, like there's the rah, hell yeah. But like I think the sobering part of that conversation is that, and Denise's stuff is always so good at driving this home, is that the magic or the foundation of that lies in the objectivity of the program, right? Is to say like, and part of that is like, no, we're not going to lower the standards for you, right? Like, so as you said, like you could have flown the flag to be like, I am a larger bodied athlete. I'm going to stay this way. This is going to be my thing. And I don't need to get a pull up. Or if I get close as a larger bodied athlete, that's okay. And it's like, no, what we're going to hold you to that chin over the bar without looking up and all that. And it's like, okay, it might take me a little bit longer. But then when you get there to that standard that's been held, man, it feels good. And then like, that's the sobering kind of magic that I think is lost now, is trying to dilute the program to win more people over. But ironically, it's diluting the program that's driving people away.
Yeah. I agree. You know, I think at my affiliate, we do all the things. We get upside down, we do wall walks, we do handstand walks, we do bar muscle ups, we do ring muscle ups. We did skin the cats the other day. And sometimes like it takes some selling, like, because some people are like, why do I need to do this? Like, what is functional about this? Why do I need this in my life? And then like you start to be able to do these things. The amount of people that actually can do some version of a skin the cat is actually a very high percentage of the gym, but they don't realize it by looking at the final product. But we broke it down into a progression. And then when I start to talk about the application of the shoulder stability that is required to be able to do this and move your body around the rings, an unstable surface, think about if something falls off of your shelf and you reach out to grab it, guess what? Or you've got somebody in the back seat that you're like reaching back. Oh my God. Constantly, right? Anybody who's a parent or anybody, you don't even have to be a parent. You've always got something in the back seat that you're reaching back for. Guess who's not going to throw their shoulder out by doing these simple everyday tasks? It's the person who's going to be practicing these non-conventional skills, you know, in the kind of, you know, normal eyes, people will be like, that's non-conventional. But in CrossFit, we celebrate it and we're like, let's do it. Let's do gymnastics. Let's do all the things. You know, and I think it is, you know, talking about coaching, talking about developing yourself as a coach. It is on the coach to sell that stuff to the people and tell them why they need it and make it fun and make it approachable for every single ability that's out there.
And I mean, even just the inherent missed opportunity of practicing, right? Is like just being able to zoom out and be like, hey, listen, the reason why you're all struggling with this as adults is because you have to practice and you throw it out the first attempt. Like, I can't get it. And like, so we have to remember that element of the program to say, hey, like, we can't just be training. It can't just be training, because it's like, it is practice. And then if you execute an effective session, someone will get marginally better by the end. And that's all that's important, right? Not necessarily checking the box, but being like, hey, do you see how you improved as you practice? And it's usually like, yeah, I roll, you're right, and things like that.
And
So
it takes time.
yeah,
It takes
yeah.
time.
It's just like back to that patience thing. So so as you get going here, what fires you up for what's next for you in any way, shape, for you, for CrossFit training, anything like that? What gets you fired up about the future? Because I think it's so easy to just sit and be like, CrossFit's flawed. They need to fix things. It needs to be sold and blah, blah, blah. And I talked about this with Chase Ingram, like, everyone's sitting there with their arms crossed to be like, CrossFit needs to do this. It's like, no, get off your hands and start doing the work. So
yeah,
I know you're someone who gets fired up about it like me. What gets you fired up lately about it all?
So I think honestly, so I am a person that I'm very much affected by the noise out there for sure.
Okay.
And so I've had to make kind of a little rule for myself. I have some blinders on that I am trying not to pay attention to the noise that's going on out there. Because for me, CrossFit is so near and dear to my heart, and I love CrossFit so much that I don't like when people talk about CrossFit in a negative way. So for me, it has been about really focusing in on what difference that I can make with the CrossFit methodology. Because at the end of the day, regardless of who owns it, regardless of what happens, regardless of what positions are available within CrossFit, regardless of any of that stuff that is up in the air right now, I have the power to take this amazing and beautiful methodology that I know in and out and that I learn more about every single day. I have the opportunity to take that and show as many people that are willing to walk into my door. And that is like, it just fires me up so much. You know, like I just got fired up talking about those skin the cats. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, you know what? I want to make the athletes at my affiliate do a skin the cat. And some of them are going to be reluctant to want to do that, but others are going to have so much fun, and being able to see people light up, and ultimately, like for me, it's like defeating those self-limiting beliefs and showing yourself that you can do something that you had no idea you were capable of doing. All of that stuff is so much bigger than who owns CrossFit. To me, it's just like the actual stories, the actual relationships, the actual people that are within within the affiliates that are coming in, that are changing their lives, that are grabbing their health and taking charge of it. That to me is like, that's what fires me up. So being able to look to the future and think, how can I continue to help my affiliate to grow so that more people come in? Maybe we right now have 2 locations. Maybe we then have another location someday. Like maybe it's just continuing to expand so that the people in the lovely little suburbs of Boston can, experience this life-changing thing. Because honestly, if you don't have your health, what do you have? I just had this conversation with one of my one-on-one clients earlier today. Like, if you don't have your health, what does your money mean? What does your job mean? What does your life mean? We have the opportunity to give that to people, to give people the ultimate tool to live their best lives. Like it's the best job in the world. It really is. It is the best job in the world. So I don't know. I feel fired up. I hope that's
100%. Right? And that's like, it's clearly, it's like, exactly, it's noise. Best way to block the noise is to shut the front door of your affiliate and realize, wow, what's happening in here hasn't changed, doesn't change. The open still is magical.
Yes.
And getting people, even our own members who want to contribute to that, like refocused, again, giving them what they need versus what they want sometimes, is being like, none of that stuff matters. Just as we have a t-shirt that says, nobody cares, work harder. So look at that. We were able to recover this thing. the journey never has to be perfect, right? Good enough is you just have to start and look at where you might end up. And on that note, 3, 2, 1, time.